Because I have no britch, and that's why the piece of leather, the latigo leather's on the back. So I'm actually putting the pin through 2 holes. So now I've got support for that and this. So this goes down through the ring and back through the ring. That's your safety. So you can reach underneath the pack and just pull it, and you can undo it if you... What really happens is sometimes they get down, like if there's a really bad wreck. I mean, the worst thing in the world. Well then, if he's down on that side, instead of cutting your cinches, you can just come pull this and hopefully get him unthreaded. Because the pack usually ends up laying up there.
They literally can't get up.
So yeah, you have to loosen the cinches so they can get up. So if you can undo everything from whatever side's up, it's easier for them to stand on their feet again. Then you start over. And one reason latigos are so long is that if I had to cut this, I could still piece it together and get home. Because it's this long, see? So that's something you don't think about, but that's a fact. Now you always put the near, which is the left side, and the far, which is the right side, you always put the near side panniard on first. So these panniards, the way I do it, see how I've got the handles? And of course you do everything in sequence because of the keeping the weight factor correct.
How much would normally be in each side?
50 to 70 pounds.
Wow, so you've got to be able to lift that.
Yeah, and that's one reason if you have a swamper, it makes it easier. In other words, somebody's helping. And they'll stand on that side. When I pick the box up, you put the loops on. But I learned to pack by myself.
Brute strength and ignorance, is that what you say?
Yep. So now when everything lines up between the ears, I adjusted these ropes and everything before so I could use these panniards. So now the top pack is what's going to sit this way. And you just push down on it. Okay. The lash rope. And just so we're perfectly clear, this is no different than making a horse. There's 700 ways to do this. And there are all kinds of options. Now, whenever you got a partner, you always say headache before you throw it. Move over just a little bit. Try it again. You want to throw it over and then snap it back, and then you've done it correctly. Which I haven't done.
You're getting real close.
I'm right between the CV. The CV is purposely painted dead center on the pannier. So that gives me a reference point. Hook always points back because of the brush and the limbs. A green pine bough limb doesn't give, as you probably know. Now, the important part is the same distance from here to the animal. So, what I do is just, I know I'm going to be pulling it down tight, so I can look at the distance. Look underneath there from the back and you'll see where the hook is as opposed to the ring. See it? So I'm going to pull the ring the other way because I'm going to be tightening it down, then it'll end up correct. Get it?
Yep.
All right, so now is when I start to tighten it. Now if the ring isn't touching the mule, we're fine.
The ring is not touching the mule.
Okay, come over here. Now this is where you put the half hitch in it. And that's what keeps it tight. And you can have that loop to use if you want it. Half hitch as opposed to slip knot. Okay, so now everything's tied to the mule. And I learned this diamond hitch from a guide up in the Tetons when I worked up there. Now you notice I laid this right next to it. You want to do the same thing on this side. So they're both on the same side. Now you go through. Now, here's the important part for the diamond. Stand over here. I'm going to do it 2 times. Watch. Roll. Roll. That's how a diamond's made. So I start off on this corner. You can see my divot in the pannier. And I go under the twist. I always go under, I don't go over. And when I'm feeding my rope, I'm going to end up over there. So I'm sending my rope over there. So now I just do I got my top pack covered, I've got my divot, and I set this right in the middle. Here's my middle, I know my middle. So I'll set that right there. Now I come down this side. And go under. Back to my next divot.
Oh, okay.
And underneath this one. But very few people throw a diamond this way. That I learned it when I was a packer for the outfitter in the Grand Tetons. Now, there's your diamond. Got my everything covered that I need. So now I start over here. And I'm going to end up over here. So this is something I do extra for insurance. I can line my 2 diamonds up and come across. Back through the ring, as you can see. Now with the tail, what I do is I start my hitches. All I do is go through here. I'm right dead in the middle of the box. That's a bite. See how I'm putting the bite across this rope? That's what makes it stay. I'm going to go under this one because I'm getting ready to go up, so now I'll put my bite the other way. Now here's where you got to get into the fork. So no matter what it takes, you got to push your rope over one side of the sawbuck.
Just one.
Yep. That's what'll keep the rope there. If you can't do it, you can thread the end. It's a good tight pack. So I've got my bite on that rope right there, and I've gone over the fork. So I'm pulling to the fork of the sawbuck.
Okay.
Just an overhand's all it is. This is just insurance to... Now here you have the clove hitch. Under, over. So I know where to get to this if I have to. The point of this is to just kind of keep everything in the same place. And what we'll do is I'm going to undo the whole thing, then I'll walk you through it.
Okay.
And then we'll do this until you can just do it.
This is like a
But this is kind of like the hitch I want you to learn because it's so much more secure. A really good packer will think it's overkill, but when you're not a really good packer like me, you do whatever you can.
tie a knot, tie a lot.
And there you go. That's the way to do it. Now in the Code of the West, what happens is that when you're packing and you come into camp, like a hunting camp, whoever's there, not the cook, but the guides, they all come and help you. They'll all take a pack animal and unpack it.
I thought it was interesting that all the pack animals were taught to you stop before you get to camp and they'll feed.
Yeah, You stop 'em-
Oh, wow.
you stop your whole string and start whistling, and they'll pee, and then you can go into camp.
And they
Some-
don't make a big
Yeah, big pea mess.
That comes from the old team days going in the barn. I mean, when they used to harness 30 teams during thrashing season or something,
imagine what a mess.
they'd catch them in the corral, and then they'd stand there until they peed, and then they'd go in the barn and harness them.
You teach a mule to pee.
Just wait, and it'll be a habit.